Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Kennedy, President Trump just won a historic election victory, and you were a big part of it. At the outset of the hearing, you talked about those Maha Moms, that coalition that you led, that movement that was behind you, that supported President Trump on Election Day, giving him one of the biggest electoral college votes in my lifetime. You were a part of that. The voters voted for President Trump. And President Trump, by the way, is a man of his word. He always follows through on what he says he's going to do. And one of the things that he said he was going to do was put you front and center in this administration to make America healthy again. And that's why, at the end of the day, a lot of those moms have been here yesterday and today from Indiana to support you in this movement. And that's why you have my full support. And anything other than voting for you to confirm you would be thumbing my nose at that movement, the millions of people in this country who want us to focus on making America healthy again. One of the things I've thought a lot about, I serve on the Armed Services Committee as well. I just left another hearing with the nominee to be our new Secretary of the Army, is the national security risk of an obese nation. 70% of our kids are not eligible today to serve in the United States military, and the Army 2 years ago was 25% off of its recruitment goals, and obesity among our kids is one of the reasons why. And I think you would agree, my first question for you, this epidemic in this country is as much of a public health risk as it is a national security risk. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely, Senator. And like I said, well, I didn't say this. When my uncle was president, 3% of Americans were obese. And today, 74% are obese or overweight. In Japan, 3% are obese. So other nations, what we're seeing here is not happening elsewhere. And American kids did not suddenly get gluttonous and lazy. Something is poisoning them. And we need to figure that out. And then we need to end those exposures. We need to do gold standard science. And all of these moms recognize that we now have a unique opportunity in history, where history now is at an inflection point, where we have a unique opportunity to reverse this epidemic. And we know what we have to do. We have to study the additives. We have to end the conflicts of interest on the nutrition panels and on the drug panels that are loaded with people who have corrupt entanglements with the industries they're supposed to regulate, that have turned these agencies into sock puppets for the industries they're supposed to regulate. We need somebody who can come in, who can break that inertia. We are attracting the most talented group of people who work in NIH and CDC and FDA in modern history. And people who are not coming there for jobs, they're innovators, they're disruptors, they're entrepreneurs, and they're coming in not because they want position, but because they actually want to change things and give us gold standard science and make America healthy.
And I know you agree that fitness is a part of that, a major part of that.
Absolutely. My uncle started the Presidential Council on Physical Fitness. I won a contest when I was in school. I got an award for it, and it was a piece of pride for me. And for many people in my generation, I'm sure Coach, won his.
I want to move on. I want to move on to another national security threat. The biggest existential threat to America is the Chinese Communist Party. And right now we're importing 1/3 of our medicines from China. And even more of our generic drugs come from China. It's a public health risk and a national security risk. What can you do as HHS Secretary to reduce our reliance on China and help our domestic manufacturers?
This is a huge priority for President Trump. He sees this as perhaps our greatest national security vulnerability. And over the past few years, so much of our essential medicines, the production of them and the supply chains have been exported to China. And it's a crisis now in our country. If there is a pandemic, if there is a war, if there's any conflicts, China will now be able to ransom American health. And that is not a good situation. We need to bring that production home, and President Trump is committed to doing just that.
Well, sir, I think you're going to have a tough job. You have my full support, but you've got lawmakers against you. You're going to have bureaucrats against you. You're going to be working with the limits of the administrative state at the department. But I'll have your back, and I want to work with you to get it done.
Thank you,
to
Senator
support this
Banks.
movement. Thank you. I yield back.